Hello, my name is Lisa Klein, and today I'm going to show you how to tack up your horse. What does the word tack up mean? It means that we're going to groom her, saddle her, and put her bridle on safely so that we can enjoy our ride. The first thing we do, just like if you're in the lab or if you're in the kitchen, get everything out that you're going to need to complete this project. Don't get your horse out and have him standing around and then decide you're going to get everything you need together. Here we have our brushes. We have our curry comb, our body brush, our face brush, and our hoof pick. And we're going to use those to groom her before we put the saddle on. It's wintertime here in Wisconsin, so it's cold. She's a little bit muddy. She has a winter coat on, and we want to make sure we get all that mud off. We don't want the mud grinding into her skin under the saddle. That would be kind of like you having sand in your shoes. It would be very irritating and possibly cause blisters or bruising. So, the first thing we want to do is start on her left-hand side and work out with our curry comb all the mud, all the gross mud, loose hair, and just work our way down the left side of her body. I stop at the knees when grooming in the wintertime. You can see she's kind of muddy down here. But it's Wisconsin winter. We're not going to be able to do anything about that. And if we really need to, we can hose her feet off when we get done. So let's get all the mud. You see she's starting to shed a little bit. Springtime's coming. And of course, with any horse you don't know, you want to be careful about their rear end. We know Haley, she's a sweet horse. She's not going to kick us. But stay close in, just pat her on the butt, let her know you're coming around. Her mane, I just kind of brush it. It's not real important for riding that her mane be perfect. You can see up here she's got a lot of mud caked on because she probably took a mud bath this morning. So we'll just get that mud off. You don't want to use this metal on any of the sensitive areas, like on her face or her ears. That's just too much. We want to use it on the real muscular parts. So, we will keep brushing her. She likes this spot. You can tell she likes this. Okay, a lot of loose hair coming on. We want to get this coat nice and clean before we put that saddle pad on her. Okay. Right. So now that we've removed most of the gross dirt in here, let's go get our body brush and smooth her over. We just want to brush away the loose hair and dirt, especially under here behind her elbow, because that's where the girth of the saddle is going to go, and we don't want any mud to be rubbing up against here. So I'm going to ask her to move her foot forward, and we're going to clean up under there, and I feel around under there to make sure there's no mud. So now that we've got her body taken care of, let's go ahead and take care of her face. We want to get the mud off of her face. She's got to wear a bridle, and we don't want any grime and dirt. Yeah. Just be careful around her eyes. Her faces are a little bit delicate. And I get behind the ears real good. Atta girl. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is pick out her hooves. We don't want her to have any stones in her hooves that could cause bruising while we're riding. Get our hoof pick. I'm going to ask her to pick up her foot. Give And I'm just going to get all the mud and stones out of her hoof. Looks pretty clean. And let's do all 4 feet. I'm going to get her off of this wall a little bit. Get over. Get over. Haley. Come on, let's go. There you go. Give. And the next one. Give. Don't see any big stones. You need to check right around this hoof wall, where the hoof wall connects. If they get a stone lodged up in there, you can cause real problems. That would be like getting a stone up under your fingernail. Get girl. Oop, there's a big one. Good thing we got that one. Okay. Now we're ready to start putting the saddle on. I've got my saddle pad, and this is a contoured pad. It's going to fit the contour of her back. So, go ahead and put it on. And we really want it to be evenly distributed on both sides of her spine. We don't want anything rubbing her spine. So if we look at the contour here, it's going to contour right along with her back. And I can feel that. And I also want to make sure that it's centered. She needs to be standing flat-footed for this. And I kind of go around the back, make sure it's lined up. I look from the front. It's even. Now I'm ready for my saddle. The front of the saddle is called the pommel. Here we have the bars. The bars are what sits on the horse's shoulder. So we have to be really particular about how we position this saddle on the horse. I take my stirrup, put it up. This is my girth that holds the saddle on. I put that up. I don't want it dangling around. I lift my saddle up, and I set it squarely and easily on her back. You don't want to throw it up there, flop it on her. Go to the other side. This is the girth. This is what actually holds the saddle on the horse. So it's going to be very important how we attach the saddle to the horse. We do not want it to be sliding off while we're riding. So let's make sure we have the saddle in the right position before we tighten it up on her. The highest part of the saddle should be over the highest part of the horse. And the bars of the saddle that we talked about earlier should sit right behind her shoulder blades. I can feel her shoulder blade right under here. Saddle's a little too far forward. I'm going to move it back. That feels good. I try to get most of her mane out so it doesn't rub. And then I take the saddle pad, I kind of tent it up a little bit so it's not rubbing her neck. I take my girth. I let this stirrup down. Pick up this stirrup. We're going to use what's called the latigo to attach it. Okay. I'm going to run it through this way, just like that. It should lie smooth. And up here. And since it's pretty long, we're going to loop it through again. We have holes here for the buckle, which is here. So we want to tighten it up gently. Find a hole. You want to get pretty snug with it. She's going to let out some of her air, and it'll loosen up. Make sure that buckle is through the hole, and I kind of pull on it to engage that buckle. Then we want to flip this through here, just like that. Pull down, and we're ready. Let the saddle down, stirrup down, and there we have it. I also check the back of my saddle. There's a seam in the back of the saddle which shows you where the center of the saddle is. It's right back here. I make sure that that seam is lined up with my horse's spine so that the weight of the saddle is evenly distributed on both sides of her spine. Well, before we can ride, we have to put our bridle on. This is her bridle. These are the reins. This is the bit. We do not go up to our horse and put the bridle on like this. That is not the proper way to bridle a horse. What we want to do is grab this piece, which is called the headstall. We're going to drop our cross tie. These are safety drops. You pull the neck of the snap and it loosens. So we pull it and it loosens. We're going to drape the reins over her neck, so in case she decides to walk off, we have something to hold on to her with. Haley. We take her halter off. We place our hand in between her ears. Haley. She thinks it's tasty, and she's pretty well trained to accept her bit. Good girl. Place it behind her ears. Now we have this strap called the throat latch. We want to buckle the throat latch. It doesn't have to be tight. It just kind of has to be there. So I just let it go like that. And her bridle's on. Okay, we're ready to ride. Don't forget your helmet.